John Rolfe, or John Smith, was known as a widower among many, maybe because of the raping and beating of his wives, as the drunkard way was the norm during that era, and the killing among Christians was normalized, and everything was justified through the scriptures, and somehow they would justify these brutal sorts of acts and wash their hands clean among brethren whenever one was at fault. It was their way, and they controlled the law, educated the already abused and brainwashed children of the indigenous tribes to be submissive, and henceforth they created a new world. Let us consider. Jamestown, Virginia, and Bermuda are heavily intertwined, and the reason that America even existed through the Revolutionary War was because of Bermuda's existence, which helped by means of Fort Williams, which they destroyed in hoping of hiding the Moorish heritage of the true local descendants and inhabitants of the island, and many other landmarks of heritage have been destroyed with the exact same motives of covering up the evidence to be revealed. The surnames of the Moorish Empire have been stolen and poetically repurposed for the claim of land and property by the ones guilty of their endeavors to destroy an entire nation of people who are natural, born to the earth, and inheritors by birthright, and through universal law, which is above the government laws and statutes, because the law of the land is based in the Bible, and the law of the sea was created by man, henceforth the Maritime Admiralty Law. Although these concepts all stem from the manipulative agenda of the elite and the reconstruct of the biblical scripture and knowledge, all in hopes that they can secure their power and influence over the people as one whole. The Moorish Jacobites of Yorkshire are located in North England. Ironically, Bermuda's dockyard used to bear the name Ireland on older maps of the island. As well, the old maps always say La Mer du Nord, which means the North Sea, which gives a clue to the importance of the North within the regards of navigators, such as Spaniard Diego Ramirez, who sketched a map of Bermuda in 1603 after his exploration of the island, who claimed the island to be bountiful and plentiful to the point of an unmeasurable abundance, which contradicts the claims made by English historians that Bermuda was desolate and unfit for settling before the adventurers decided to do so by mistakenly discovering Bermuda and then stopping the Spanish from returning after they decided claim. Henceforth, there is also an old map drawn during the year 1491 by Henricus Martellus Germanus, who was German, and his map of the world is preserved within the British Museum and looks exactly like Bermuda when turned right side up. Also, there's Francesco Rosselli, who was also a creator of maps after Columbus made voyages. Or consider Juan de la Cosa from Spain during the 1500s. Juan was a navigator and captain and owner of the Santa Maria, which sailed with Columbus. Juan's drawn chart is the oldest surviving map that shows location in the New World. It is said that Bermuda's first ever actual visit was by Captain Russell, or Roussel, a Frenchman who was shipwrecked in Bermuda after striking a reef, losing crew members, to which after he made a small boat with surviving members and sailed to Newfoundland, where they received passage to France. Let us consider, before Bermuda was ever known as Bermuda, It was known as Devil's Isle, with stories about devils inhabiting the island, which became mythological as the study of the island's origins proceeds, and more so the colonial historical account of the island from the early 1600s. And Marquez maps were drawn during 1511, which was also featured upside down, but is before Columbus could flip the maps after the slave trade and route was over. Then Marquez's map would be right side up and featured correctly, which is evidently true when studying the constructs of the New World maps, those of old, the layout of the constellations, the path of the sun, and it becomes clear with common sense that Marquez is correct. Consider that Juan Bermudez, being appointed captain, a Spaniard, meant that he was a Moor, but an Uncle Tom Moor, because he was captain of the Lagarza when taking slaves brought from Guinea within Lisbon, and it was on his way back that he spotted Bermuda, to which it is said he was named after. Yet this gentleman was servitude to the colonial culture, as an Uncle Tom would be. They stopped within Bermuda and collected cedar, and still there was no record of anyone inhabiting the island, but it was accounted for by Bermudez and many others before him, including the Spanish rock mariners within Spittle Ponds Nature Reserve. Aside from that, the evidence is clear that Bermuda was well known and taken into historical account before it was known by any of the European, Spanish, French, or German ruling powers, and before there was a Russia, which has Rus replacing an A, which would make it Asia, which was what that entire region was considered before it was called Russia. Henceforth, the Soviet Union came after what was considered Mongolia or Tartaria, the old East Asian powers. And when considering the information provided within the previous chapters about the swastika, it becomes clear that Russia had an agenda to which an empire was replaced. And the now known swastika by the modern world or New World has been savagely deceived by Hitler, whose agenda of killing Jews ties directly into the claiming of his race and bloodline being the pure race, and wanting to eradicate Jews, be it black or white, Sephardic or Ashkenazi, was not his concern. Eradicating the truth about the Eastern truth that revolved around the enlightenment of ancestry.